What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, now I don't know if you guys noticed the other day when Trump said this.
Thank you, President Trump. I have two. First, on immigration. What made you change your mind about targeting in California farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business?
Well, we're not targeting. In fact, if you look today, I put out a statement today about farmers. Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. And you know what's going to happen and what is happening? They get rid of some of the people because, you go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else. And then you're supposed to throw them out. And you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
Yeah, so, okay, well, hang on. A lot of people interpret that as, well, hang on, what's Donald Trump doing here? He's going back on his promise? He's not going to deport these people? He's not going to deport criminal aliens, for crying out loud? Apparently so, folks. Trump directs ICE to pause raids against certain industries. Oh, this is fascinating, and we're going to discuss it right quick. Let's get into this. The Trump administration directed Immigration and Customs Enforcement to pause raids against workers in the agricultural, hotel, and restaurant industries, News Nation confirmed. Effective today, please hold on all work site enforcement. Investigations, operations on agriculture, including aquaculture and meat packing plants, restaurants, and operating hotels. Tatum King, a senior ICE official, sent a Thursday message to regional leaders, the New York Times first reported. Okay, so apparently what happened is these farmers and these companies of the restaurants and hotels apparently got together or got with somebody and contacted Donald Trump and said, look, you're destroying our industry. We're losing all these workers and we can't replace them. So something needs to be done. So I'm guessing what Donald Trump is going to do, which kind of goes against his campaign promise. But look, I get it. Like I said on my Piers Morgan video I did the other day, look, this is something we need to discuss, right? Because we don't want to just blanket deport people to the detriment of our own industries, for goodness sakes. But these people need to go. So we need some sort of a remedy. We need something, right? But we'll get to that remedy here in a minute. Let's finish the news before we continue on. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed a shift on deportation policies in a statement to News Nation days after President Trump signaled that changes are coming in a post on Truth Social. Our great farmers and people in the hotel and leisure business have been stating that our very aggressive policy on immigration is taking very good long-time workers away from them, and with those jobs being almost impossible to replace, the president wrote Thursday. This is not good. We must protect our farmers, but get the criminals out of the USA. Changes are coming, he added. So apparently, he's going ahead and following through with this. DHS officials said they would follow the White House's lead in regards to removals and detainments, per the Times reporting. We will follow the president's direction and continue to work to get the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens off America's streets, DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin said. Authorities have conducted several workplace raids across California in recent days, rattling business owners as some employees have been swiftly detained by ICE. Large-scale protests have erupted across the country in response to the raids amid concerns about inhumane conditions and overpopulation at detention facilities in California. The president dispatched National Guard soldiers and Marines to California as unrest continues in Los Angeles. Now, what they're not telling you right there is, sure, these people have been delusionated into believing, yeah, I know, I just made that up probably, delusionated into believing that there's inhumane conditions at these detention facilities. Well, these detention facilities are top notch. They're just as good as any prison, if not even better. Why? Because most of these people, a lot of them, right, not all of them, but a lot of them, aren't criminals outside of breaking into the country illegally, right? They're criminal aliens, but that's about it. They haven't really made any egregious violations of the law. So they don't need to be treated like freaking animals, and they're not going to be treated like animals. But the corporate press, they don't tell you this. They'll make a report and say there's concerns of inhumane treatment, and people hear this and they forget that they just said there's concerns with this. They're not reporting that there's inhumane treatment, but they either selectively don't hear that and then just believe that, hang on, they're treating these people like freaking animals, and then they get out there and go protest. No human is illegal type of thing going on here, right? Like, I blame the corporate press mostly for a lot of this rhetoric and a lot of these protests leading into riots that we've seen over in Los Angeles, which is fascinating. But we still need to deport criminal aliens. Now, I think a resolution to a lot of this is that maybe we should have a task force or whatever that goes around to farms, to hotels, finds these criminal aliens that are in the country illegally, and offers them a pathway to some sort of work visa or whatever, right? Because sure, it's hard to get that. Maybe there could be some sort of expedited issuance of work visas for a lot of these people to allow them to be in the country legally. So something needs to happen, right? We don't want to destroy our own businesses, especially right now when the economy really needs to be a lot more robust than what it is. We don't need any shakeups in the economy right now. We're kind of teetering on the brink of recession, and we don't need, Trump coming in and just getting rid of all these workers, and we don't have anybody to replace these people, right? Now, a lot of what this does, though, there's ramifications for this now. Once again, this is allowing some in the country illegally and not allowing others. How do you decide? Well, most Americans agree that anybody that's hardworking and is just willing to get out there and go to work every day and pay their bills and just want to be left alone, just mind their own business. They're not bothering anybody. They're not breaking any laws. However, these people need to be vetted. We need to know who's in the country, right? So we need to go through all these people. We need to get out the bad guys. Anybody with a criminal history, they need to go. I'm sorry. There's no way around that. If you have a criminal history, I don't care if you're trying to come here for a better life. It's a privilege. It's not a right to be an American citizen. I mean, unless you're born here, for goodness sakes, then it's your right. But if you're trying to come to this country, if you're trying to immigrate to this country, that's a privilege. That is not a right. There is no right to immigration, for goodness sake. So we need to make sure and filter through all these people, but we need to do it expeditiously. Once again, folks, because we want to get this process. We want to get these people out of here. And, going after the criminals, that might be the biggest duck that you shoot first, but it is also the hardest one because criminals, they like to fly under the radar. These people at these places, they're easy to pluck off because they're there. They're going to work every day. They have a schedule. We know they're there. Blah, 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 blah. You get it, right? They're easy. And so they're going after these people because why? We need to ramp up deportations. Well, hang on. Now we got a problem because it's hard for these companies to replace these people. So what do you do in this situation? Expeditious work visas for these people. That's what I say, at least. If it's going to cause that big of a problem to where these companies are like, hang on, they're panicking over here. And they're like, well, we can't replace our workers. Well, one idea, maybe pay your employees some more so where Americans will do these jobs. Because Americans will definitely do any of these jobs. It's just finding the people to do it. And I'm sorry if it cuts down on your overhead or whatever. Who cares at this point? If you want to keep your business going, pay your employees more so you can get some Gen Z kids in there. They can start fresh and get a good job, a good paying job that they can make a living off of, for goodness sakes, instead of paying these low wage people. Like, that's another problem with this, right? Which is why a lot of people just want these people out of here. Because it creates a subclass of American, essentially. These non-citizen employees, for goodness sakes, they're second-class citizens. They can't vote, or at least they're not supposed to, right? They have no rights to Social Security or Medicare, Medicaid for the most part. So it's like you're creating an indentured servant class here, or serf class, whatever you want to call it, which that's a bad thing. That is not a good thing. That is not something that we need. Society needs to progress. It doesn't need to regress. We don't need to go back to that. So once again, there needs to be some sort of resolution, and just not deporting these people, that's not the resolution that we need, right? We need something other than just Trump saying don't deport these people, for goodness sake. So this is my criticism of the Trump administration, just stopping this for now. Like, look, I get it. Go after the criminals, for sure. We need to focus on those criminals. But when you come across these people, deport them, right? If these businesses don't want to go out of business, they will find a way to stay alive, for goodness sakes. You know, survival instinct overlaps with running a business and maintaining your lifestyle, for goodness sake. So these businesses will find a way to get the job done. They will find a way to get employees. But like I said, we could make it a little bit easier to expeditiously get these people some sort of work visas, blah, 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 whatever. You know, there's many solutions to this, and I can't wait to see what the Trump administration finds. I hope it's not just ignore these people that go to work every day. It can't be that, I'm sorry. You're going to become very unpopular very quickly with a lot of your base, Trump, if you do that. So I'm just warning you, don't go down this path. That's all I'm saying, and I think that's all I got on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. And don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. That would be great. If you could also share this video anywhere and everywhere that you can, that would also be awesome. If you could look right below the video and click that join button. Sign up, become a member, help me deliver the best possible content I can deliver to you guys, because you need to know what's going on in the world, right? And the corporate press, they leave information out constantly, so I've got to fill in the gaps. There you go. Y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.